Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. I'm really excited about this topic because I do talk about it a lot. This notion that you do have a choice, and we are constantly choosing who we want to be, right? We're constantly choosing how we're going to respond to something, whether we're going to react, whether we're going to be intentional. We constantly have the choice. Are we going to continue to remain the same, or are we going to start to make changes? However, sometimes it may feel like we don't have a choice. And I want to address that because I feel like that's kind of a nerve that I hit when I tell people you always have a choice. I say it to my children too. Irritates the crap out of them. It just does, right? And I'll say you always have a choice, right? The reason it feels like we don't have a choice is because we are simply operating out of habit. That's it. That is the only reason that you feel like you don't have a choice, because your habit has kicked in and it has taken over so quickly that you didn't actually have the time to make the decision. The decision was already made for you. You didn't have time to make the choice. It was already made for you because your habit kicked in, right? This is how you go into autopilot on the way to work. And even though you were planning to go somewhere else, you ended up taking a turn to this place instead of that place. And you're like, wait a second. What just happened here? Your habit kicked in. You started a new eating plan, nutrition plan, and at 4 o'clock you reached for that chocolate chip cookie. And before you knew it, you had 4 chocolate chip cookies and you were like, what the heck? I didn't have a choice. You did. You just didn't give it to yourself. Right? I hit the snooze alarm 17 times. I didn't have time to work out today. I don't have a choice. You do. You just didn't give yourself the chance for it. Right? And so the very first thing that I recommend my clients do when they are wanting to make a change is get honest about their time, their resources, really, where your time, your money, and your energy go. Those will tell you what your habits are. They don't lie. They will also tell you what's important to you. It also doesn't lie. So when you sit down and you look at this, again, you have to give yourself the time to look at this, because if you change nothing, nothing will change. Okay? But sitting down and going, you know what? I had 0 time for this week. I had no energy for that this week. I didn't have money for this, or I spent too much on that, right? Whatever it is, you actually have to look at it and reflect. Like, what did I do? What was going on in that situation where I didn't actually give myself a choice? Well, you were acting out of habit. And when you want to change a habit, which can be done, you have to pay attention to the things that are triggering the habit, right? And then go, you know what? I'm either going to remove that thing, or when it comes up, I'm going to pay attention to it and choose differently, right? So I am just, again, being honest with you all, right? I am not a huge drinker, but I do enjoy my margaritas or a glass of wine or a nice martini, right? Like whatever it is, okay? I do not drink very much at all when my husband is traveling. I also don't really drink during the week, Monday through Friday, because I just don't. I don't know. It's just a habit that I have, right? Because I've been there before where I was like, oh, well, I will have a glass of wine. And then it turned into, I was very quickly drinking through a bottle of wine on a school night. And I was like, no, we gotta switch this, right? And so I had to pay attention to the thing that was triggering my desire to want a glass of wine. And typically it was once the kids were in bed, I just wanted to relax. And I realized that I was using this glass of wine as my relaxation. And so I said, you know what? No, we're going to find another way to relax. So I put the kids to bed and I will take deep breaths. I do. I legitimately take a whole bunch of deep breaths when the two little ones are in bed. And then the craving essentially goes away. But I gave myself that space to choose whether or not I wanted a glass of wine or I didn't, right? Now, I don't make myself wrong if I decide that I do want a glass of wine. I just know that it's not my habit. I'm not doing it because it's the only way I can relax. I'm doing it because I actually want it at that point, right? And it's no longer this addiction kind of thing. Okay? So when it comes to this, again, I take time throughout the day to reflect on, okay, what worked yesterday? Was yesterday a good day? Was I feeling overwhelmed? Was I feeling tired? What worked yesterday? What didn't work? How can I adjust? And whether or not I do it every day, I do it at least once a week in certain areas so that I can make sure that I am not overwhelming myself, I'm not overcommitting, and I'm moving myself in the direction that I want to go. So when it feels like you don't have a choice, it's simply because you're not giving yourself an opportunity to choose differently. Life has become so automatic that you don't even think about it. And quite frankly, that's what your mind wants. So don't feel bad for this. Your mind wants things to be on autopilot because then it doesn't have to use extra energy to think about stuff. You just do the same thing that you did yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. But if you're not happy with where you are, we've got to change those things that happen throughout the day to get you somewhere differently. And so starting small is the best thing that you can do. The best thing that you can do. Because if you try to bite off more than you can chew, you're just going to revert to more of what you know. You're just going to go back to your old ways very, very quickly. And so in order to make those habits, those new habits, stick and stay, you've got to give yourself the grace to do it. Okay. So part of this is, again, starting really, really, really small. There is a great book, I forget the author, it's called Atomic Habits, where he actually talks about the power of these things. Breaks it all down, gives it to you in all kinds of information, right? Really great book. I like it because I learned a little bit more about, batching your habits and whatever, those kinds of things. And so what I love about it, though, is that he does encourage you to be reflective. You have to know where you want to go and where you are currently. And then look at the things that are keeping you where you are, stopping you from where you're going. This is where it's so important. If you want to be wealthy, you've got to see what wealthy people do. If you want to be healthy, you've got to look at what healthy people are doing. If you want to have a better relationship with your partner, you've got to see what that looks like and see how you can begin to incorporate it into your own life. Okay? I am not suggesting a total overhaul. I would never suggest that to you. If you've listened to my podcast or you've showed up on my YouTube long enough, you know that I love little incremental 1% progress. I love it because it's sustainable, right? I know that today I could go run a marathon, but I'm probably going to be out of commission for a couple of weeks if I were to do that to my body because I'm max at about 5 miles right now. Okay. Now I know if I begin to add mileage each week, I'm eventually going to hit that marathon and I'm going to be fine, right? I'm not currently training for one, but that's a sidebar, okay? Small incremental changes are going to be the best thing for you to do. This is why books like The Compound Effect and The Slight Edge, right? This is why those kinds of things are so important because it's just these small little changes throughout your day, okay? For instance, you decide you want to be healthy, but you drink a lot of soda. Cutting out soda is going to be a game changer for you. And the beautiful thing about all of this is that typically when you start in one area, you realize, oh, well, this isn't so hard. I can actually change it in that area. Oh, and this isn't so hard. I can actually change it in that area. And oh, this isn't so hard. I can actually change this area too. And it becomes this snowball effect where you started off by not drinking soda, but now you not drink soda, you work out, you drink more water, you started budgeting, you're paying attention to your finances, you're having actual conversations with your spouse, right? Like it snowballs. It's this beautiful thing when you give yourself the permission to start small. It doesn't have to be this massive avalanche of things all at the same time. That becomes overwhelming. And so, again, the reason that you may feel like you don't have a choice is simply because your habits are so automatic. Your day is so in autopilot that you're not entirely sure what day it even is, right? Feels a little bit like Groundhog Day. And so, one thing that you can do is before you go to bed tonight, take out a little piece of paper and go, okay, how do I feel about today? This could take you 5 minutes. How do I feel about today? It was good, it was bad, it was ugly, like whatever it was, right? Be honest with yourself about it. And then say, okay, what's one thing that I could do differently tomorrow? And maybe it's you wake up the first time you hear your alarm. That's a game changer for some people because the way you start your day can be very indicative as to how the rest of your day goes. It doesn't have to be, right? But I know this morning when I got up, I said, okay. After I heard the dog bark at 4:45, I thought I could roll over and try to go back to sleep for another 90 minutes. Or I could get up, I could go to the gym early, get my workout in early, and then feel like I have even more time in between things today. And that's going to feel better to me. And so I pulled myself out of bed and I got to the gym at 6 o'clock when the pool opened. And I swam my laps and I got home before I had to wake up the kids, right? Like I made the decision based off of where I wanted to be, not where I currently was. And that is always a choice. Again, if it feels like you don't have a choice, it's because you're really not giving yourself the time to choose differently. Your day is so automatic. So you got to slow down just a hair if you want things to actually be different. So I am sending you so much love. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. And as always, be you because the world needs more of you. Bye.